Hi, I'm Terry Tarbox and welcome back to the Flat to Fabulous and the Fun Flower series using Premium Icing Sheets from Icing Images. Today I'm going to show you that I have taken a Premium Icing Sheet that was 8.5 by 11 and there's no waste. So when you trim these sheets off to use them for a purpose, just save them because you will use them again at another time. There's no waste, and this is how I'm going to show you why. This was an 8.5 by 11 sheet. I trimmed it down to 6 inches wide because I'm going to make bands for a bow. You heard me, I'm going to be making a bow out of icing sheets with no wires using Cake Play's Isomalt as a support for the center of the bow, and I'm going to show you how to do that now. What I do is I designed a template, so I have a 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch, and 1 inch band. That way I can just lay my icing sheet on the size that I want. As you can see, I pre-cut these. Lay my ruler or my straight edge on the bottom line, take my X-Acto knife, cut it, and then I have a perfect 3/4 inch band for my bow. Then I just take my icing sheet, I move it up to the line, I lay my straight edge or my ruler on it again and cut again, and then I have my other band. That way I can cut as many as I need quickly. I have this under a piece of plastic so it doesn't get ruined, and it's also the plastic from the icing sheet that the icing sheet was attached to as my way to keep it okay. Now I'm going to remove my template because I don't need that anymore, and I'm going to show you how easy it is to put these two strips of icing sheet together using Isomalt and creating bow loops. Inside this bow loop is Isomalt, only Isomalt. No wires, no other support. This bow is 100% edible. If you made a cake for a party, you always have to be concerned if you're doing a present cake, if the wires, if a child wants to chew on it. In this way, there's no wires, there's no concerns. It's all edible, it's ready to go. And I'm going to show you how easy it is to do that now. Now I have made all these bow loops already to save time. I do have a video just on a bow. If you want to check back and check that one out, on that one I actually make 3 different bow loops, so it shows you how to do the process, and it's very easy. Let me get my Isomalt. Alright, I'm back with my Isomalt. Now as you can see, it's out of the microwave and it's bubbly. That means it's very hot. You do not want to touch it. Remember, with working with Isomalt, you have to respect it. It is in a measuring cup with a pointed edge. I use that because it's easier to pour. What I'm going to do is rotate the Isomalt until it stops bubbling. And then even when it stops bubbling, I'm going to just give it a couple more seconds after that, because if it's too hot, it will instantly melt the icing sheet, and I don't want to do that in this case. And of course, if it's too cool, it's too thick, and then it doesn't form correctly and it causes your icing sheet to crack. So let me just rotate this a little bit more. It looks like it's coming close to what it needs to be. And what I'm going to show you is it's one motion. When I start, I'm going to drop or release the Isomalt just outside of the band, and I'm going to do one smooth motion all the way across to the other side. I'm not going to back up over it. I'm not going to do a double. In this case, less is best. You don't need that much for the support system, and if you put too much, then it causes the icing sheet to crack, or it's not easy to maneuver and it just does not work correctly. All right, so now I've waited long enough that I believe it's cool enough to do this motion, and I'm going to very steadily move from one side and see, less is best. That's all I need. So now I'm going to take this piece and place it over the other one, flip it over, and then I'm going to bend it. And there it is. I have a bow loop that quickly. No more making gum paste bow loops 2 o'clock in the morning because you forgot to make your bow the day before and you're hoping that it hardens in time. There's no more of that. With the iDesign program, you can pick any pattern you want. They've got groovy, children, animals, flowers, scrolls, anything to accommodate a present style cake that you can use. Now, if you have an area that the icing sheet is not attaching to itself, that is perfectly okay. You just take a little bit of Tylose edible glue, or you can use your alcohol-based product and just glue it together. There you go, it's ready to go. And I just made this loop, but I can use it right now. This thing is ready to go, and I'm going to prove it to you. First, I'm going to take and trim the bottom in a V, and I'm going to go ahead and use this one right on the bottom of my bow. So what I'm also going to do is show you how to do a combination. This is actually going to be a partial bow with a flower in the middle. So this is what I'm going to use for my flower. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take my loop. It's ready to go. This is Isomalt that has been melted in a little melting pot. Cake Play sells these on their website. They're really great to have. And of course I'm using Isomalt niblets, they're calling them. Melted them down, and that's what I'm using as my super glue of the cake world, that I call it. So don't forget to get your Cake Play Isomalt in the little melting pot. So what I'm going to do is smear just a little bit on the bottom of the bow, and I'm going to place it on my cake. There you go. That's it. Now I'm going to go ahead and take the rest of these loops that I've already made, and I'm going to place them around my cake. Now if you have a section that's separated like that to where it didn't close all the way, you can do two things. You can either leave it as it is, it's fine, or just put a little bit of Isomalt in there, hold it shut for a second. There you go. Super glue of the cake world. Put a little bit on the bottom and place my loop. Let me go around and do all of that, and then I'm going to show you what we're going to do for the center of this. This is how fast and easy this is. The loops are used immediately. There is no long period of drying time. You pick the side that is the best. Look to it where your print is going. And I'll put that one right there. There you go. Now I have the bottom of my bow done. I have 3 loops left. I'm going to hang on to those, because what I'd like to do for you now is for the center of this, if you've enjoyed my series, you know you can make roses out of the icing sheets. The strip of the icing sheet that I cut away, that's this. I had 2 left because I used 2 sheets to make the bow and the flowers. So I have petals that I used the Atico cutter, rose petal cutter. I just placed it on the sheet. I pressed down, or you can use an X-Acto knife to cut around, whatever your choice is. Here are the petals from the first sheet and part of this sheet on here. What I'm going to do though is I'm going to take Tylose edible glue, and I'm going to paint it on the center of my bud. What this is gum paste that I have formed into a cone shape. The bottom is about the size of a dime. So I've spread that around, and I'm going to take one petal, get that out of the way. I'm going to take one petal and I'm going to wrap it around the bud like so to form the center of my rose. I'm going to hold it for just a second and let it get tacky to itself. And then I'm going to take a little bit of Tylose. You don't want to use a lot. You just want to use enough that helps attach. I'm going to spread it on both sides of the little petal that I just attached, because I want to wrap this one around also. And I just want to make sure that there's enough Tylose that will hold it in place. Now at this point, if one of these starts to come undone, you could use Isomalt to tack it down if you like. In this case, I don't think I need to do that. It's holding to itself very nicely. So now, this is the fun part. If you've enjoyed the roses using royal icing as an attachment, you will really like using Isomalt from Cake Play, because it's instant. Once I place the Isomalt on here and attach it, within seconds it's dry and my flower is 100% usable at that moment. So let me go ahead. I'm going to spread just a little bit of Isomalt on the bottom. I'm going to try to arrange the height to my bud and place that there. If you end up attaching too low or not spreading the Isomalt up high enough, just put a little dab and tack it. That's all you have to do. And then once I've done that, I'm going to go ahead and start with my petals, and I'm going to spread just a little bit, just a light touch, and I'm going to attach them around my bud all the way around until I get the top layer. Now it looks like on this flower I'm going to be able to put 4 because of the size of the flower. And go ahead and attach that one. There you go. So now I've got my flower going. And I'm going to go ahead and turn these out just a little bit. Like so. Now I'm going to attach these, the other petals, to the other side, or start another row of them. The normal rows count does not apply. Didn't add enough Isomalt there. Sometimes too little is not enough. Let me go back and attach that. There you go. Okay, that's good. Now, the normal rows count does not apply because you're not wrapping these inside of each other. There's not, the material, the icing sheet will not allow you to do that. So you just have to place them and go around in a layering formation until you get all the petals on that you want. And I'm going to make this a pretty big rose because I'm going to place it in the middle of my bow. So it's a double item. It's a rose bow. Let's see. And I think that'll end up looking really pretty. Put one more here. And let me take I need a couple more petals off of the sheet that I've already cut. Now, you can also use, Icing Images has a wonderful machine called a silhouette, and it's a cutter. And you can also use that silhouette to cut petals with if you want. I have used it on another video of a flower that I've made, and it cuts very quickly. So now that my flower is done, it is rather large. I'm going to remove, this was spaghetti, not a wooden dowel. I'm going to remove that. I'm going to give my flower just a second for the Isomalt to finish drying because I can feel the outside edge that I just completed is a little warm. And while that's drying, if I wanted to, I could go ahead and cut off these tips because I do want the bow to sit level inside the flower, to sit inside the bow level. So it feels like to me now it's pretty much dry. I can do two things. I can apply the Isomalt here and sit my flower down, or I can apply the Isomalt in the middle, depending on what you have. I'm going to go ahead and apply it to the flower itself, and I'm just going to spread it onto the bottom of the flower. Again, respect the Isomalt, it is hot. So if you've ever used it before, and holding onto one of the petals as support, I'm just going to lightly press and place that in the middle of my bow. And as you can see, I have created a bow flower combination. It looks very pretty on top of the package. Now, of course, this is a basic dummy. I didn't do a true package. And if you wanted to add more bow loops at this point, you could. Just apply the Isomalt and then wedge them in where you may want them to go. I could have also gone one layer higher with the bow loops around and then place the flower on top. Because there is Isomalt in the middle as a support system for both icing sheets, as I said before, the Isomalt will hold them up. At this point, the only way this bow will collapse is if you smash it. The Isomalt will hold it for a period of time, and then you can make wonderful bow flower combinations using Isomalt as your center structure from Cake Play, and using the Premium Icing Sheets from Icing Images. It makes a wonderful package, and now you can take and leave your cake white or a solid color, and all of your design is within your rose or your bow that you're using. Play around with this. It's a lot of fun. Check out the iDesigns program on Icing Images website. Go to Cake Play's website, get one of these melting pots, because once you start doing this way, you will be making flowers like crazy, and this melting pot is essential to have. Cake Play Isomalt is the way to go. Check this out. Check out my other videos. I hope you enjoy. Bye.